Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us Talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
Welcome back to the 21-22 series of No One Likes Us Talking, Our Millwall fan show, the first in the new post-freedom lockdown series. I'm your host, Henry Morgan, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Stan Godwin and Ted Robinson.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Pat, let's go to you first. What did you make of our summer business?
Good and bad. Really pleased to get Saville back. That was a good deal. Although I think we ended up paying an average of about £3 million. That was the rest of the loan. But yeah, really happy to see him. Not too keen on the Phobie. I don't know. I still think we need a really good forward to come in.
Yeah.
And I was quite surprised because at the end of last season, Rowett said we were going to really lower the age of the squad, and we don't really seem to have done that anywhere. But yeah, happy to see George Saville back. Looking forward to him.
Stan, over to you. Have you managed to catch up with any of our friendlies as well, maybe?
No, I've not. I've not been to see any friendlies. They're okay, but I don't normally tend to, apply a lot of credence to them because, at the end of the day, it's all about what system he wants to play, the fitness levels, and all that sort of thing, which is fine. I mean, if we go out and win 4-0, it's all very nice, but it don't really mean a lot. And if we go out and lose 4-0 at the end, it's the same sort of thing. So. No, I mean, if we'd have had a couple of friendlies at the Den, I might have been down there. But there we go. But no, I'm quite happy with our signing so far. I'm well pleased that we managed to get blimey, what's his name on the fullback, Scott Malone. I got him, tied him down permanently. I was well pleased about that. Benny was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. And I hope he has a better time this season because the last time he was with us, he was a bit injury prone. Although he was a lot younger then, to be fair. But he seemed to do quite well later on after he left Millwall when he got established in the club. And George Saville, yeah, okay, I'm glad he's come back. But I agree with Pat. I certainly think we need another forward. But I mean, saying that's easier said than done, isn't it? And be interesting because in the Southwark News today, I mean, Gary Rowett does mention in there that now he reckons that the transfer window is going to liven up a lot, because a lot of what happens or don't happen is governed anyway by these Premiership clubs, and they've not been doing a lot recently. Most of them, one or two have, but not a lot. So no, I mean, I just think you need to keep an open mind, but. No, I'm happy with what we got so far.
Ted, your thoughts on this pre-season so far and our acquisitions?
Well, like Stan said, friendlies to me are neither in or there. It wouldn't bother me if they lost every friendly as long as they beat QPR on the opening day of the season. It's more of a fitness thing than an actual football match after time. I actually think we got a very strong squad, and I think what we brought in has been good. Proven people at the championship level. I sort of disagree a little bit with Pat about the natural average age of the squad is coming down because we've got an influx of players that from our academy that seem to be pushing their way into the first team. Alex Mitchell, by all accounts, has been pretty outstanding in the pre-season games, making Rowett think again about whether he could loan him out. And I say we've got Phobie and Saville, two proven championship players. I think this year what he's going to try to do, we know we're difficult to beat. I'm more than happy with defensive wise, and the kid Ballard, who's only a young lad that come from Arsenal, was exceptional last year at Blackpool.
Yeah, and
it was a little bit of a surprise in a way, Henry, that he came to us. But
yes, I agree.
I think if you look at him. Hutchinson, Cooper, still got Pearce, you got Wallace, you've got Alex Mitchell floating around. Yep. That's the centre of the defence is made. George Evans, if need be, could go back in there. So defensive wise, we're spot on. We've got two good fullbacks. We got a left back, and I suppose Murray Wallace could go left back. He's never let us in when he's played there. So over the back line, I'm more than happy. Midfield, Saville coming in. Hopefully, we'll add a few more goals to what was coming from midfield.
Creativity.
Listen, we all love us to get a 20 goal a season player to come through the door, but we all know they're very difficult to find in this championship level. You know, you need to have a little bit of luck in the sense of
I was going to say
have a little bit of a gamble. Someone like Tyler Bure could all of a sudden surprise us all, or even Oliaf, who's come back from Sutton, might turn out to be the man. You know, but I think what Rowett's doing is looking at make us hard to beat, and hopefully we'll have a few more goals coming from different areas. Because let's face it, last year was a bit disappointing from the centre halves. You know, Jake Cooper, who scored the other night.
Yes.
You know, the season before, scored a few, and they're capable of doing that. So I think I'm not going to get heated up too. Yes, I think if we can get an attacker, another attacker to come in, another forward to come in, he will. But I think we're looking at more goals from all around the pitch. Scott Malone give us a good return. Danny McNamara and Marlon Romeo didn't give us anything in goal terms, I mean.
True.
So I think it's a good, strong-looking squad. And if one or two of them can actually fire or spark or up front, then we're going to be there or thereabouts this season, I believe.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with anything that's been said there. Very, very good summary. Well, look,
one thing I will say, Henry, sorry, I was just going to say,
right.
the guy that could surprise us and be the missing link maybe is Mahoney, because I think if that boy clicks, he could create so many more chances than what we had created for us last year. Not only in a sense would he give us a few more goals, but I think he'd certainly be that creative spark that I think we lacked a little bit of last season as well.
He can definitely do it. I think I said that in one of my comments at the tail end of the season before last. I completely agree with you there with Conor Mahoney, definitely. Well, a really good overview there. We'll take a break.
Don't forget, just 4 days ahead of our opening fixture away to QPR, there is a fans forum at the Den on Tuesday the 3rd of August between 7 and 9 p.m. The event will take place in the Executive Lounge within the Barry Kitchener stand. Lions boss Gary Rowett will take questions from the floor in the first hour before CEO Steve Kavanagh, Millwall Supporters Club chairperson Catherine Gell, and supporter liaison officer Shona Groves answer any queries after the break. The fans forum is open to all Millwall fans and pay bar facilities are available on the evening.
Now let's listen to Bethany Warren talking about Eleanor Hospice and those running in memory of the late Jordan Dawes, a Millwall fan and legendary goalkeeper of the women's game.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall fans Danielle and James will be running the London Landmark Half Marathon in August, in memory of Danielle's cousin, Jordan Dawes. Listen to Danielle tell her story.
Hello, so I am running the London Landmark Half Marathon in August. While training for Tough Mudder, which I'm doing in September, I feel I got the bug for running. I wanted to give myself a challenge and while raising money for Eleanor. Jordan's memory lives on forever, and as a family, we honour her memory by giving back to the charities that gave their care and support during the darkest of times. Jordan lost her battle to cancer in 2019. She was a keen footballer, playing for the likes of Charlton Athletic, Gillingham, and ending her football career at Kent Football United. One of the most memorable times for me and the family when watching Jordan play was when she actually saved a penalty in a cup final, leading Kent Football United to win. She was an infectious person to be around. Her smile lit up the room. She was keen in talking to James about Millwall. She would come with us as of when she can. And the last game that she actually went to was the FA Cup game against Everton, where Millwall actually spoilt her, made her feel really special. She was able to meet some of the players, have her pictures taken with the keeper at the time, and was actually given the treatment of being able to go into the exec lounge as well. Just want to thank everyone for taking the time to listen and anyone that donates. So thank you.
What a story, and what a lovely couple Danielle and James are doing this together. So if you can help, you can just put James and Danielle fundraising for Eleanor, that is ELLENOR, into your browser and the Just Giving page will be shown. I'll say that again. Just put James and Danielle fundraising for Eleanor, that is ELLENOR, into your browser and the Just Giving page will be shown. Thank you. A link will also be in our announcements on Facebook and Twitter.
I'm Henry Morgan and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Stan Godwin and Ted Robinson. If you can help Jordan's family help Eleanor Hospice, just put Danielle and James Jordan Dawes into your browser and the Just Giving page will be shown. Our first guest is Lambeth-born Millwall fan, man and boy, who played as a youth for West Ham United, but when he graduated, he was loaned to Exeter City in the first year of his 20-year playing career. Stints at Swindon, Hull, Leyton Orient, where he made his greatest number of appearances and scored his most goals. From Orient, he joined Millwall in 2007 after rejecting a new deal with the O's. After a slow start with us, he became a good striker for us as Patricia Maslin continues to reflect, and his Millwall career will always be remembered for that wonder goal he scored for us in the playoff final in 2009. I think my back has only just recovered from bouncing over those seats, which is still reckoned to be the best goal ever scored at Wembley, despite the European Championships being played there this summer. In 104 appearances for us, he scored 25 goals before moving on to Brentford for £100,000 in 2010. He continued in league football after leaving the Bees with Crawley, Wimbledon and Burton before joining non-league Greenwich Borough, where he played and managed. He went on to manage Ashford United, where he also played but hung up his boots, and most recently managed at Glebe in Chislehurst. After playing over 600 games, don't be fooled by Wikipedia, it can only be the one and only Gary Alexander. Welcome, Gary.
Good evening.
Evening, Gary.
Evening, Gary.
Evening.
Lovely to have you back on. Before I let you off to the panel, Gary, we return to our new freedom of being able to watch football at the Den once again, but now with heading restrictions in place. Heading was a big part of your game. What are your thoughts about the new requirements that have been introduced?
I didn't even realise I wouldn't have been a footballer if I couldn't weren't allowed to head it. So it's I very much doubt I would have played. But I haven't seen the heading requirements. I haven't even seen the new rules, to be honest. I've not took much notice of that.
So you can only head the ball a certain number of times in training.
Oh right, okay. I was totally unaware of that, but obviously.
It's actually 10 times.
10 times.
Like from 35 yards per week in training.
Is that right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's
wow.
It, Pat.
It amazes me, to be honest. But so, is there anything in restrictions in terms of games, or is it just
no, not as yet? No. But there could be.
But they're heading that way, obviously, aren't they? But it's well, I'm shocked, to be honest. But obviously, scientists have done their homework, and it's obviously proven it's causing problems, so they've cut that down.
I'll tell you what, Gary, the way I've seen some centre-halves head the ball when they could do it a lot more than that, if I can only do it 10 times, Christ almighty, God knows where it's going to finish up. It's not going to finish up at another player, is it? It's going to be out the air, out the pitch, I think.
No, exactly.
I don't understand it. It's football, for God's sake.
There'll be some centre-halves these days what are over the moon. They haven't got to head it, though, aren't there?
Well, that's true, yeah. That's very true, mate. Yeah.
That's very true.
Right, hello Gary, it's Pat here.
Hello, Pat.
Hi, we was all sorry to see your son George leave at the end of last season.
Yes.
Many of the fans were asking, what is ahead for George now?
Ahead for George now, obviously, to try and forge a football career, which is his dream. Mm-hmm. He's got a few offers in the pipeline, and it's just about probably placing him where it's best to give him the best chance of forging a football career. So his next move's got to be a good one for him, where he's going to play regular. At 20, he obviously hasn't played much first-team football. He's played a lot of 23s, scored a lot of goals, but it's now about getting an opportunity within a first-team squad, proving himself and getting in that team and hopefully moving up the ladder.
It's difficult. Gals, Ted here. All right, mate.
Ted, hello, mate.
Hello, mate. It must be difficult for George because every footballer goes through a bit of rejection before you make it somewhere. Will it be the making of him in some ways, do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I think you've got to prove people wrong, haven't you? In every walk of life, you get people what some people rate you, some people don't, and if you're not rated, you have to move on at certain times, and obviously you've got to prove them people wrong. And I'm sure George is hungry enough, and he's similar to myself. You want to prove people wrong, and that's what he'd be aiming to do. And over the next few years, hopefully, he does do that.
Well, this lot on here haven't rated me for years, Gal, but they can't get rid of me anyway. But, anyway, yeah. What did you think of Millwall's overall performance last year, Gal? It was a strange old season with COVID and whatever, but in the end, it didn't turn out too bad for Millwall, did it?
No, in the end, they went on a run. It's obviously difficult. I think Millwall rely on the fans. The fans weren't in there for a lot of the season, which probably made it difficult because I suppose if you're having a bit of a lapse, you've got no choice but to liven up if the crowd get on your backs and things like that. But if there's no one there, it's obviously difficult to get out of them lapses. But in the end, they went on a good run, didn't they? They proved they can get good results, and they've obviously strengthened this year. So hopefully, we can get a better start and really push for the playoffs.
Yeah, what's your Gary? Stan here, mate. What do
Stan,
you
hello,
think
mate.
of Gary Rowett's acquisitions of Long, Afobe, Malone, Ballard on loan, and Saville? Will they put us into the promotion mix?
Who knows? Obviously, Saville left for a lot of money, then he's come back for a lot less. Reasons being, don't know why the Middlesbrough not sure. Obviously, he did well at Millwall to get that move, so maybe this is the club for him. So we could see good stuff again. Afobe, obviously, goal scorer, but can he stay injury free? He's been hindered by injuries, and obviously then he's dipped into the loan market, and have to see how the lad settles in on loan, having probably never played much first team football.
Going back to like youngsters who are finding it hard when they first start out. I mean, I don't know if you watched last season, Troy Parrott. I mean, he never actually really made it for Millwall, and he got moved on to Ipswich, and I think he joined Milton. Is it Milton Keynes?
MK. Yeah, you're
MK
right, Pat.
Dons, yeah. He's gone up there. Players find it difficult to especially forwards, scoring. Would you suggest, that they hold out with a team, or, because I think your first season you only got 7, did you?
Yeah, I didn't score for the first 20 odd games. I don't think it's
Yeah.
difficult. But forwards obviously rely on chances. You're only as good as the chances you create, and obviously you've got to put them away. I'm not sure how many chances Troy Parrott was getting. Having watched Millwall last year, we was talking about this last year, wasn't we?
Yeah.
There wasn't loads of chances. So on that side, I probably have to defend him a little bit because the kid clearly scores goals. It didn't work out from at Millwall. I'm sure we'll see him scoring goals somewhere because, as we said, he always scores in them 23s. So forwards rely on their chances. If you don't get too many chances, you're not going to score too many goals.
Well, your second season proved that. That was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, we created a lot of chances. That as a forward, you rely on scoring goals. When you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chances, it doesn't go in. It does sap confidence. But when that one finally goes in, you normally find my career. I went in spells. I'd score 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 goals in a row, and then might not score for 5 or 6 games. And it's one of them. But that's how some forwards are. It's all about confidence, and if the team's creating you chances, you just got to hope you take one of them.
Yeah.
Gal, I was looking back at 2008-2009 season. Both you and Neil Harris were top and second place goal scorers with 15 and 11 goals respectively. But in third place was Trezor Candole. I remember him with 8. And in fourth was Lewis Grabban with 7. Two strange guys. What do you know about? What can you tell us about them? What's the memories of them, and what sort of characters were they?
Well, Lewis Grabban remains a friend of mine today. A lot of people have different opinions on him, but until you actually get to know Grabban, you won't understand him. He's a shy character. He's not one of them who's going to walk through the car park high-fiving fans and wanting to sign. He wants to get in, get his job done. And I think, so for Millwall fans, it's probably not what they want to see. So they probably took a dislike to him and things were said about him, but he's actually a great lad. And as I said today, I still get on with him. He actually sent me a couple of Forest shirts down for the kids last season, all signed by the team and things like that. He's a great lad and
a good player.
And a very good player. He's gone on to prove that. Probably Millwall wasn't his fit, as we find that out for some players. You can look back over the years, probably look at players like George Friend who've played a few games and disappeared and gone on to have great careers, and Grabman's done that. So he probably wasn't a Millwall fit. And then moving on to Trezor Candell, great character, great lad, good player in his own right, big, strong centre forward. I think I remember him getting sent off. Where was it? I see it the other day.
I remember that.
Leicester away, wasn't it?
Yes.
Leicester away. I think it was winning 2-1, and he come on and he was only on the pitch a couple of minutes, and he got a red card.
I think I was on the pitch more than he was in that game.
He had the hot streak in him, and I think that's probably didn't allow him to have the career he probably should have had. But a good player in his own right.
Yes, Gal. We had former Lions John Goodman on the show last season, and he now heads up the MK Dons Academy.
Yeah.
He reflected that the academy system was heavily weighted in favour of the top flight, unlike the days gone by when you could turn out for a number of sides before being contracted to one specific club. And also the under-23 league appears not to give players the experience and the players got in the past either. Does there need to be a rethink on how the development works in the English Football League, do you reckon?
I just think that clubs have their own way of doing things, and I think even players to a certain extent won't go out and play if teams are too low. But I've watched games this year where there's been 11 trialists playing against the non-league side. They're saying the Ryman Prem, and the Ryman Prem side has matched these 23s. Technically, are they as good? No, but they've got that little bit of know-how. And for me, I think as soon as these boys turn 18, 19, if they're good enough, get them out and play in the lower leagues. Just learn the little tricks of the trade and playing against men. And I think that's a massive part. And having watched the game probably no more than 3 weeks ago, I'm more for that now, that 18, 19-year-olds should get out and play, whether it's in the Ryman Prem, whether it's in the Ryman, just go and play against men, get 50 games under your belt and learn how to play against men and understand how to play against men. But when you just watch 23s, is there as much contact? Is it as fast? Is it as aggressive? Probably not. And I think the boys are missing out. When we was young playing reserve football, it'd be very competitive, because obviously now it's all under 23, so you're with 18, 19-year-olds mostly. When we was playing, you'd have the first teamers what wasn't playing, so you could end up with 8 or 9 first teamers in that team with 2, 3 18-year-olds, which you couldn't get away with things that you get away with now when you're just around just 18, 19-year-olds. These boys would make sure you're pulling your weight and putting, I say 100% in, but it was a completely different game then. But now I think it's massive for the kids to go out on loan.
Yeah, I mean, I remember Phil Coleman. We have him on here from time to time, and we asked him a similar sort of question, and because he was in the one of the famous youth teams for Millwall when they went through and won the Youth Cup and whatever. And his view is that by the players then, and along with what you just said, Gal, that when they were playing in the South East counties and them sort of things, them sort of leagues, and the combination league, they come up against professionals like yourself when you were playing, and that toughened them up quicker, and for all the reasons you said. So, and when we've had we've asked former professionals the same sort of thing, they've all come out with the same sort of answers, and which is fine, and much in line with what you're saying.
To be honest, obviously the game has moved on, but I just think it's vital. And sometimes, obviously, these kids are misled, or they see a club's name and it's too low down. Oh, that's not good enough. But they've got to realise that this is all part of a learning curve. Instead of just let's pick out what let's think of a Ryman Prem. So let's say Cole Shorten or something coming for someone on loan at 18 years of age. Go and play games against men where you're going to play against people of all different shapes and sizes, different strength, different pace, and the game's thing. I went to Dorchester as a 17, 18-year-old in the Ryman. It was then the Dr. Martin's Prem, and it done me the world of good. And had I not done that, would I have had the career and have played the level I did? Probably not.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Fair enough, mate.
Well, Gary, look, thanks again for coming on. All the best to you and your family. But before you go, can you give us a prediction for the QPR game coming up on Saturday week?
QPR game Saturday week, QPR away.
Yeah, we got a great record there.
No, we don't have a great win, but I'm going to stay positive and I'm going to go. We'll get off to a good start. I'll give us a 2-1 win.
Oh, I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, all day long. I'll take that as well. It's me being positive, but
Love that. Well, look, thanks, Gary. Undoubtedly, we'll get you back for our Christmas show once again. After all, it's only 21 weeks away this Monday. But bye for now.
No, thanks very much. Sorry for being late.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers, Gary.
See you,
Bye.
Gary.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
We'll take a break there and listen to Patricia Maslin talking on I Follow.
Remember Carl Bates crashing off his chair at Carrow Road? And the commentaries that he and Max McLennan gave throughout the pandemic? Well, I Follow gives you all that and the inside track on our club, with a range of benefits including live match video streams if you live outside the United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland. Live audio commentary and exclusive club content is available everywhere. Sign up today to get closer to the action. And don't forget, at least 80% of I Follow net revenue goes straight to our club. It's a great way to show your support. A basic package is free and the audio pass starts from $4.49 a month. Go to Millwall's website and select I Follow to subscribe.
I'm Henry Morgan and I'm back with the No One Likes Us talking team of Patricia Maslin, Stan Godwin and Ted Robinson. A great way to support our club with the largest amount of revenue returning to the club, whether you listen to either the audio stream or watch the video stream. Next up, we hear from Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall!
Both the Lionesses and Romans had disrupted seasons due to the COVID pandemic, but both have been fortunate. The Lionesses moved up to the 5th tier of women's football pyramid from the 6th tier, and a change of region from the Eastern Region Women's Football League to the London and South East Regional Women's Football League Premier Division for the 2021-2022 season. The move will see the Lionesses take the next step up the pyramid, as well as playing their league games in an area more local to their roots. Rebuilding the side for a Tier 5 season is underway, but we all will be sad to see the back of good friend to this show, Abby Dell, who is also a prolific goal scorer for the Lionesses. We wish her well with London Seaward, formerly Leyton Orient, and who play in Tier 4 and are based in the Stepney area. This Sunday, the Lionesses face Barking at 2 p.m. in a friendly. The match is open to fans and their ground is at Maysbrook Park, Dagenham. Meanwhile, Millwall Romans won all their league fixtures this season and were crowned champions in advance of the concluding games. The National Cup final was a rehearsal of England v Italy, and Millwall lost out to Manchester on penalties. We'll hear about their seasonal awards soon. So, guys, it's our final friendly ahead of our trip to the Cayenne Prince Stadium to face QPR on Saturday week. It will be a return to Portman Road for the Lions on Saturday to visit a much-fancied Ipswich town side who are being tipped to return to the Championships at the end of next season. What are we looking for in this final friendly? Pat, let's start with you.
Basically a win. Yeah, as you say, Ipswich are one of the favourites to go up. I think third favourites along with Charlton. I think it's going to be a tough game, probably tougher than what Gillingham was. I think he needs to start putting out what our team will be against QPR.
That's what I was thinking.
He didn't do that against Gillingham. I've been really disappointed with the quality of friendlies we've had this season, but it seems to be the same every year. We get Gillingham and Charlton. Yeah, Charlton were playing Crystal Palace. And when we finally get Arsenal, it's behind closed doors.
Yeah.
I don't think our friendlies actually help us, the quality, and I think we really need to step up a gear on those each season. But hopefully a win come Saturday and good times ahead.
Yeah, that's interesting. We had Motherwell, didn't we, Ted? What are your thoughts on this final game? Does Gary Rowett need to have a starting 11 that's closer to what we're going to see at the beginning of the game against QPR?
Well, if I'm totally honest about it, Emery, the most important thing is they all come through unscathed. There's no
Yeah,
injuries.
good point.
They're all up to scratch fitness wise. You know, they'll have a full week's preparation for the QPR game. So, I mean, I still see. I always see friendlies as a slow build up to the main event, which is obviously QPR. So,
Indeed.
I'm not too interested in the final result because you get some funny scores lines in friendly matches that don't really mean anything. But it is the final one before it all kicks off, so it would be good to have a nice performance in there. Certainly see some of the new boys integrated into the team and looking part of the team. You know, I'm sure that won't be too difficult for the likes of Saville, who's been here before. But the main thing is that you can see out on the pitch where the management team are wanting their team to go. You know, you want to see them with an understanding. You want to see them, you know, beginning to click a bit. But I personally, as I say, every year I'm the same. I don't really look at any results until that first league game. So it'd be nice to have a good performance. It'd be nice to have a win. But some sides have really good wins in friendlies, come to the first game of the season and they're awful. So
Indeed.
I'd rather that first game of the season is all that really matters to me. This is purely training and making sure that we're ready for that game, I think.
Stan, along the same sort of lines, what do you think? I mean, Gary Rowett talked about a ping-demic amongst our players before the Gillingham game. If that continues, do we actually learn anything from the Ipswich game, as Ted's suggesting that we won't?
Well, yeah, no, I tend to agree with Ted with this. You know, it's you can have all these friendlies, and you know you can go out and win and whatever, and you know, and it's all you know. But it's, at the end of the day, it's all about fitness and the systems they're going to play. Whether they, I mean, you know, somebody just said, well, you know, they want the team with a bit. Hopefully, the team that we put out on Saturday against Ipswich will bear some resemblance to the team we put out against QPR. Okay, I understand that. The only problem is with that is the fact that between now and when we play QPR, we might sign two players, say a striker and somebody else that could throw that all out of kilter anyway. So I don't know. The only thing I would say, and it was interesting what Pat said about the quality of friendlies, and that reminded me when I was at a fans forum one day when Andy Ambler was the CEO, and we'd got a couple of seasons and we hadn't had no friendlies at home. Right, it was always away, and somebody said to Ambler, well, "Why is it?" He said, "We haven't had any friendlies at home," and he said, "The police costs." And the bloke said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well," he said, "during the course of the season," he said, "it depends on who the friendlies are." He said, "But during the course of the season, the amount of money that you paid for policing these things," he said, "he's all agreed up in hand and there's a standard rate and whatever." He said, "When it gets to friendlies, the police can charge what they like." And if you was talking about, I mean, on one occasion, I mean, he was talking about, you know, I mean, I remember a few years ago, didn't we? We had it was Rhino's testimonial against Spurs.
Tottenham,
I mean, that game. That's right. Now that game, Sydney wouldn't. That game today simply just wouldn't happen because the police cost involved in that with what's the name. So it might well be right. I understand Pat's point of view, but it might well be that the cost of the policing could have something to do with it. But then again, it may not. I'm just saying.
The other thing, Stan, is we've had a pitch relayed this year, and
yes,
that's true, Ted. Yeah.
As I understand it, we requested to be away first, so the pitch could have time to bed down. And
you're spot on, Ted.
That may be where the thing, but look,
no.
friendlies, as you said there, Stan, are purely about fitness to me, to make sure that everybody's ready and raring to go for that first game of the season. So let's hope they are.
Yeah. I mean, just to add on to what Ted said, I mean, I remember, and it wasn't so long ago, it was being talked about that because of apparently they dug the pitch. It was funny because when we talked about the tea thing earlier, when I went to the first one, I looked out the window and the whole pitch was missing. You know, it had all been dug up. And it was, you thought, oh, blimey. But then it wasn't so long ago, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, they were talking about, there was this rumour doing the rounds that we might end up playing the first couple of games at Crystal Palace because the pitch wasn't going to be ready or something. I mean, it would seem now that that's not the case. But no, I mean, I agree with Ted on that. I mean, it's probably got something to do with it as well. The pitch.
Yeah, but they could have had an away game at a decent club. You know, you're talking about home games here.
You're not endearing yourself to Ipswich fans, Pat.
No, I'm talking the likes of Arsenal behind closed doors. What, you know?
What's the point?
Well, that was probably something to do with Ballard coming here.
Yeah,
as
he's
on loan from Arsenal.
They could have accommodated fans.
Yeah,
well, then perhaps they don't want to do that, no. I mean, if for example, I mean, I don't know, but if, for example, we said we was going to play Arsenal at their place, because they normally have their friendlies, they play them, or they used to play them at Underhill or Barney. Although I don't know where they do it now, but they obviously they don't play at their own ground. Now, it might well be that Arsenal are happy to have Millwall behind the doors friendly because they've got no potential fans coming. I mean, perhaps they don't want us there as fans. I mean, who knows? I don't know.
Well, that's probably the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem, you know. Millwall, they say, yeah, we'll play them, but we don't want their fans up here.
Well, it was that famous incident, wasn't it, when we played Fleetwood in Portugal, and all the Fleetwood fans were there having a laugh, and everyone on Twitter had a meltdown. And rightly so. You know, we follow our football club. The closest we're going to get to a sandy beach this year is Bournemouth and Blackpool. So, you know, it always does annoy me a little bit when we do have the class of friendlies when you've traipsed around like, you know, Folkestone Invicta for the last few seasons, Eastbourne Borough, all these places, Dartford, you know, and we don't really get that. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting against Ipswich, probably a fairly decent test. But like who is going to be fit and whatever the situation is with people getting pinged for COVID, I don't know. I don't think Jed Wallace has had a decent run out since perhaps the Motherwell game or something. But there we are. We will find out. And as you quite rightly point out, the proof will be in the QPR game. Anyway, to mark our return to the 2021-22 season, here's a chance to win a prize. Mademoiselle Patricia Maslin has donated a backlit glazed oval disc unit with the words Millwall Remembers above an image of a fan, a soldier, both with their heads bowed, and red poppies, which is on a wooden base. All you have to do is answer the following question to win the prize. In what year did Millwall wear the infamous camouflage shirt against Brentford? Was it 2012, 2013, 2014 or 2015? To enter, please send your answer to studio@noonelikesUstalking.com. No One Likes Us Talking is all one word and talking is without a G. Get your answers in before our match against Queen's Park Rangers, and the winner will be announced the following Friday. Be lucky, and thank you very much, Pat.
No problem.
Okay, we take a break there. We hear from someone who follows the Lions from a faraway island. But first, here are Fantastic Fanatics.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you can win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm Henry Morgan, and I'm back with a No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Stan Godwin, and Ted Robinson. It's well worth purchasing items through the Fantastic Fanatics website and rewarding the Millwall Community Trust with donations. Our second guest tonight follows the Lions from afar these days, in fact from southern Sicily. He has his own Facebook site, Millwall in Sicily, and has many great memories of the Lions. Throughout the wonders of technology, he continues to follow the Lions these days, so let's give a big welcome to our man surrounded by the Mediterranean, Nick Wythe. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you very much. Hi, guys.
All right, Nick.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah, good.
Nick, great to have you back. Firstly, though, what was it like for an Englishman in Sicily following the conclusion of England versus Italy in the European Championship final?
Yeah, not yeah, not good. I mean, not good. I live in a small town. There's 10,000 people here, but I mean, I am the token Englishman in this town, and that's a fact. So I got a few texts afterwards, basically hard luck messages. Of course, I did watch it live, and like everybody else there, I guess, I thought we were going to win. And when that goal went in the second minute, I was jumping up and down like everybody there, I'm sure. But in the second half, I thought this is not going to turn out well. And I was getting text messages even then. And then when it went to penalties, you just know what's going to happen.
Indeed.
So, I mean, it was disappointing, but they were very nice about it here. They're very mild-mannered people, very polite. I mean, there were cars going around the piazza honking and everything. And, you know, a lot of noise that night. I just didn't really venture into town for 3 days. I kept my head down.
No shopping for 3 days.
No
just sitting
shopping.
in here, just starving yourself in your
Yeah,
flat.
well, no, I got a couple of crates in beforehand. It wasn't that stupid.
Fair, yeah.
But I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, as disappointing as it was, I mean, I'd rather have been here than, for example, in Germany, or especially if we'd have lost to Germany on penalties, or, you know, something like, or even in Scotland for that matter, because I think that's the last place you'd want to be. But overall disappointing, but I've got over it, and I just hope that the England team have.
Yeah. Hello, Nick. It's Pat here.
Hello, Pat.
All right. Reflecting on our finish last season, what are your thoughts?
Well, it started off all right, didn't we? It sort of ran out of steam, is what I would call it. And I was looking at the details a couple of days ago. I mean, in the last 6 games of the season, we got 4 points. And there were some terrible results we had. I mean, we lost at home to Swansea 3-0, Bournemouth 4-1. And, of course, that last game of the season that no one talks about, we got spanked big time by Coventry 6-1. I mean, you can understand Millwall losing by 6 goals to Tottenham in the Cup or something, but I don't think a Millwall team should be losing at Coventry 6-1. I really don't know what happened there. I think they just yeah, no, I haven't. I mean, and they lost at home to Coventry as well earlier in the season. I don't think Millwall teams should be losing to teams like Coventry. And I understand the home supporters weren't there, and that's a big difference for Millwall. There's no question about that, and we've dropped a lot of points as a consequence. But, I mean, I think we just ran out of steam, and I think, it's the same old story, and I'm already hearing it this season in the friendlies. There's a lack of quality in the final third, and we need more composure in the final third. And for me, it's going to be the same again this season as it was last. But last season ran out of steam. I think it wasn't a particularly strong championship last year. I think, a playoff place was there for the taking, but I mean, ultimately just weren't good enough. I mean, you have to face the facts. The results don't lie. Sad as it is, but that's the way it went.
Completely agree with everything you said there.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Nick, I can say you're very lucky there, or very privileged, because Pat don't normally agree with anyone. So you
oh, really?
No.
Keep your head down there then. Yeah, right.
But anyway, Nick, it's Ted here.
Hello, Ted.
All right, mate. I mean, I'll make you right. I think we ran out of steam last year, but as football does, we roll on. There's a new season coming up.
Yeah.
Are you pleased with the acquisitions that Gary's made ahead for the new campaign? Are there any gaps where you think we would still need to fill in for a promotion push?
Well, I'm very happy with the signings he's made today. I just hope that isn't the end of it. I mean, I think Saville is a major coup for us. I didn't see that coming. I don't think anybody else did. No. And I think that's a big signing for Millwall. If he's anywhere near the same level he was when we sold him for, 7 or 8 million, he's going to do very well for Millwall. And that type of player was lacking last season. The other players that came in, Malone re-signed. He's one of the best wing-backs in the Championship as far as I'm concerned. I mean, this Arsenal centre-half Ballard, I haven't seen him play personally, but I think Pierce has probably reached his peak a season or two ago. It's just, we obviously needed competition in the centre-half position, and he has played him in the friendlies, so you assume he's going to play with 3 centre-halves most of the time. The big problem that I've got is, of course, the lack of strikers that we haven't signed. I mean, Phoebe has got a reasonable strike record. I mean, he has banged in some goals, but he does tend to blow up and cold. And I just think that we might get lucky with him. He might hit the ground running, as opposed to our previous signings where they either get injured. I mean, Zohore is a classic example of that. They get injured or they don't actually start banging the goals in. And last season we had Troy Parrott, who was supposed to be the new big hope, and unfortunately that didn't work out either. So, I mean, I don't think a single Millwall supporter would say that we don't need a striker, because clearly we do. I was hoping he was going to sign a couple. Someone for Benica Phobie, certainly, because, I mean, Smith's a 45-minute player now, I reckon, and, you know, playing Jed Wallace up front with Bradshaw or, you know, Bennett, I mean, you know, I just don't think that's a strike force. And I mean, Wallace scored, I think it was 11 goals last season. He was the top goal scorer. I mean, that really says it all. And I think 3 of those were penalties. So I think we need a couple of players that, you know, it doesn't look like they're going to be signed. And what's worrying me is the fact that the transfer fund, or the kitty, is being spent, which is rather disconcerting. You know, we haven't really spent anything yet when you think about it. But I mean, you know, the money that we may get for Thompson going to Portsmouth, I mean, what kind of money are we talking about, and who is that going to buy? And I don't see Bodvarsson, I don't see any money coming in for Bodvarsson. I think he's going to go back to Wythe on a free, personally. So, I mean, you know, they do need another striker or two, and I think everybody knows that. And I think, you know, Gary Rowett knows it and everything. I don't know why we've left it this late. I mean, I really don't. Yeah.
Sorry, Nick, I was just saying, strikers thrive off of the feed that they get, don't they? You know, I've always thought we've lacked a bit of creativity. I don't think all our strikers are bad. I just don't think we're not been creating enough for them.
Well, no.
I think that we could help our problem by being a bit more creative. That's what I'm saying, I think.
Well, certainly there's room for improvement there. But, I mean, the problem with Millwall is, I mean, since Morrison or Harris, you could argue, we haven't really had a couple of strikers that are capable of banging in 15 goals a season each. I think the last, you know, there was Gary Alexander, I think, was a guest on your programme tonight. I mean, he scored 15 goals in the season for Millwall. The fact that, you know, a winger is our top scorer with 11 goals, 8 in open play, really says it all. And they've signed players, 2 strikers, as I already mentioned, Parrott and Zohore, who didn't really do anything. They were either incapable at that level, or they just didn't have it, you know, injured, or whatever the situation was. So I'm very happy with the signings that they made. I still think we're 2 strikers short, and I think everybody knows that. And you know, we're one week away now from playing, starting the season proper, and it is a little bit disconcerting for me. I think if they'd have done that, you know, you might be looking at a top 6 finish, because I don't think the Championship is that strong again this season. I think, you know, it's a great chance to get out of it, because it isn't really that strong. I mean, you'd have to fancy Bournemouth to do something, and Fulham perhaps, but I mean, you know, there's opportunities there to get out, and this season would have been a good one, especially with the return of home fans, which for Millwall is a big difference. I mean, every team can say, yes, they missed their home support, but I think it is special at Millwall. And without that influence, you know, away teams did come to Millwall and played a lot better, I think, than they would have done. So that was a big miss for Millwall. But optimistic at the end that they're going to be a top 10 finish. I just can't see them making the playoffs unless they do get another striker in. I just can't see it. And we still don't know about Jed Wallace, do we? I mean, he hasn't signed his contract. He hasn't really appeared in pre-season because he's injured, apparently. I mean, you know, he's probably waiting for somebody to come in and pick him up. I don't think he's a Premier League player. I mean, I don't. Someone assumes he's looking for a sideways move for more money. But obviously it hasn't happened yet. And the same thing with Bodvarsson. I mean, most of the players that have left Millwall in the last couple of seasons, with the exception of Saville, of course, and Lee Gregory did a sideways move to Stoke, all the others have had to drop down a division or 2. You know, you look at Tom Elliott, look at Aidan O'Brien, Williams gone to Portsmouth, and so on and so on and so on. They weren't Championship players at the time that they left. And I think we're still carrying 2 or 3 of those, and we do need to get in a couple of strikers. I mean, I think everyone knows that. I just hope it happens. I really do.
Nick, Stan here, mate. Great to hear from you on this show once again.
Yeah.
Heading restrictions have been announced. What do you see the challenges and implications of this new directive?
Well, I don't think you can argue with the science of it. I mean, there's been players, you know, Jeff Astle and even Alf Wood, the Millwall centre forward, have suffered as a consequence of this in the past. I mean, I think you'd have to say that footballs in those days were, you know, they had laces in and they were a lot heavier when they got wet as opposed to like the modern football. But I mean, clearly there's a need to be careful about it. I mean, I understand this is going to be limited just to training exercises, so I don't actually see a physical game of football changing. I mean, I don't see centre halves not heading the ball anymore. I don't think that's going to change in a proper football match. And given that Gary Rowett, for us, is on record as saying that he wants a lot of set play goals this season, which he feels we were lacking last year. You would then expect the centre halves or the big fullbacks to come up for a corner or a free kick and using their heads. So I don't actually think it's going to change a 90-minute game of football, but clearly it's going to have an impact on the training ground.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I mean, you may well be right. I mean, we are, to some degree, we are sort of venturing into new territory, aren't we?
Yeah.
So, and clearly, something I mean, I don't know what the answer to it is, but clearly something had to be done, because the evidence is showing all the time, and you've got these, footballers, well, that go down with dementia, and yet you had other footballers.
Yeah.
They live to ripe old ages, and I'm thinking of someone like Dixie Dean, for example, who died of an heart attack, but he was as bright as a button in the head, like, you know what I mean? And a lot of his goals were headers, but Anyway, Nick, it's been a delight to speak with you once again. But before we say goodbye to you all, what do you think the score will be when the Lions go to the Cayenne Prince Foundation to face QPR on Saturday week, mate?
Well, I wish we were playing at home first game, but again, we've been drawn away, haven't we? And QPR are a major bogey team for us. I mean, they did us 3-2 last year, didn't they? And we were winning at one point there. And they've made some decent signings, I think. I mean, that's Stefan Johansson. I think he came from Fulham. He's a very good attacking midfielder, like Saville is for Millwall. And of course, Charlie Austin, who's always going to be banging in goals at that level, and he is going to be a thorn in many teams' sides this season. So, but with Millwall, if he puts out his strongest team, whatever that's going to be, injury-free and everything, I'd like to think they can bring something away. So I would go for a 2-2 draw. Hopefully, Benica Phobie gets on the score sheet to give him some confidence. And I hope that if he plays any new players, if Rowett plays any new players, that they settle in and have a good game. But I would go for a draw. I wouldn't want to lose the opening game, and anything else is a bonus for me.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
mind you look at the pre-season friendlies, Nick, and they beat Man United 4-2. We drew with Gillingham, so it's got to be a Millwall win, isn't it?
Well,
it's got to be a Millwall win.
Oh yeah, it's got to be, isn't it? With a result like that. I mean, I saw the Arsenal 4 Millwall 1 friendly. I mean, at a different level. I mean, there's no question about that. But Gillingham game, I only saw brief highlights. You like to think in front of Millwall supporters and QPR supporters, a different atmosphere in the stadium. They haven't really had that for a year, have they? And you'd like to think that Millwall would be pushed on with their away support. It is a local derby. I am worried about Charlie Austin. Now I can tell you that. I'm sure he's going to score, but let's just hope we can go down the other end and equalise or take the lead and hold on. I'd like to see him win because we did get mugged there last year. But I'm going for a draw. Hopefully that'll be the start of a good run. We hope.
Yeah.
Well, we do. Well, look, thanks, Nick. Before you go, I understand you missed one of Ted's features.
Oh, yeah, I do, Ted. Your prediction league, I used to love doing that, Ted. And I got a couple of mates as well who were wondering what happened there. So we were wondering if you would be kind enough to reinstate that because it is a lot of fun and I know you like doing it. What do you reckon?
Well, I'll try my best. I'll have to speak to the powers to be on this thing. But no, I enjoy it. I think everyone enjoys doing predictions. I wish I was a bit better at it than I am because I'll be doing it in a bit. But but no, we'll see what we can do, Nick. We'll have a word.
Well, that's very nice of you, Ted, and thanks very much for agreeing to do it again. Thanks.
Cheers, mate. Cheers.
I love that. Thanks again, Nick. Until next time, we wish you and all yours the very best.
Thank you so much, and up the Lions.
Yeah, cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, Nick. Yeah.
Cheers. Bye.
Our final guest is no stranger to the show. He is the man that has made it all happen as CEO at the Millwall Community Trust throughout the pandemic and continues to do so now. Let's say hello to the one and only Sean Daly. Hey, Sean.
Good evening, all. How are you doing?
I'm all right, Sean.
Evening, Sean.
Evening.
It never stops, Sean, for the MCT. Your summer programme is about to commence. Can you tell the listeners what is happening?
Yep, so it kicks off on Saturday. It kicks off on Monday. We're doing 5 weeks of holiday camps again, very much like last year. My trustees made a decision when the pandemic started that they didn't feel it was right that as a trust and as someone that supports the community, that we would charge young people and children to come on our courses.
Yeah.
So they've done it again this summer, and they've put on 5 weeks of holiday camps from all over Lewisham and Southwark. I think it's about 340 children a day. Free holidays, free activities, different sports, and be fed by the club again. So yeah, it's all kicked off on Monday. So we're all at it at the moment.
It must have been difficult for you. Well, we know how difficult it's been for you throughout COVID, as per everyone else, and you've done a fantastic job throughout it, I must admit, for helping the local community and whatever. Well, how's the feel now, though, where with the restrictions on COVID beginning to lift a little bit? Does it have a better feel down at the community trust there?
Yeah, I don't think the feel's ever gone from the community trust, because we just sort of changed on what we delivered, really. We supported the community during the pandemic, so I don't think this sort of the strength of the trust never changed. But what's beginning to happen now is what everyone wants, really, is the fans to come back and us to engage with the fans more at the stadium, more with people, start going to local festivals, getting our name out there more, and then getting back into schools and seeing young people. But the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is having fans back at the stadium, and then to have that Lion Centre thriving with fans coming in to see us and talking to us and going to the food hub next door. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. And I think that's what all my staff are looking forward to, just get back to a little bit of normality. But not forgetting what we've done during the pandemic and keeping an eye on that and saying, well, let's grow on what we've done, really.
You said about the all free facilities for the kids. I mean, do they just turn up if they want to go, or do they need to contact you to start with?
Yeah, so last year we put it out to people and they could book for the whole 5 or 6 weeks. But what was happening, it was the same sort of children coming all the time. And we felt that, we've got to share it out more. We've got to see lots of other children need to get an opportunity to it. So what we're doing is every Thursday, a link will go up on the website or will go up by contacting myself or someone at the office. People then can register, and they can register for one of the venues. As soon as the venue is full, that link would then come down and it would go up the following weeks. We just want to try and give as many opportunities as we can. So the link went up this morning at 9 o'clock for 2 venues, just for Lion Centre and St Paul's, which is about 120 children. We had 400 applicants looking to get on it.
Cool.
So what we'll do is the first 120 will go on it, and then we'll try and share it out next week for the next 120 or signpost them to another venue. But it just shows you what a need there is out there for children and parents, wanting to get their children in activities, wanting to socialise with other children. And then, our thing is to try and educate them around healthy eating and then make sure they walk away with a nice meal.
You mentioned it was like Southwark and Lewisham you was like basically advertising in, but can kids from basically anywhere in London or just outside?
Yeah, so we managed to get some funding from the Mayor's office to support the programme, and they target you with areas. They say we'd like you to lose Lewisham and Southwark, but 15% of the children that we can get can come from another borough. The reason we took the funding is because it's inclusive, and we wouldn't have took it if it wasn't inclusive. We've got to make sure that every child that wants to come to it or needs to come to it, no matter where they are in London, they get that opportunity. And that's the only reason that we said, look, we'll take the funding as long as it's inclusive and everyone can come to it.
Right, that's good.
Sean, well, I'm sitting here listening to what you have to say, and I get lost of words, mate. I mean, the job that you guys do down there, is absolutely magnificent, right? And my view. I've said on more than one occasion that, as far as I'm concerned, the community centre are the crown jewels of Millwall. I don't believe there can be any doubt about that whatsoever. And you just seem to go from strength to strength, mate. It's mind blowing what you're doing down there, and may that continue, mate. it's just brilliant. I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant.
No, thank you very much for the comments. But when I came to Millwall, all I wanted to do was to try and support the community and make sure that people get to know what a great community club Millwall are. And that's what I want to try and achieve in my time here. And I'm hoping. I don't think we shout enough about what we do, but that's because we're doing it. We're out there doing it, and and loads of community trusts are doing it, but we don't shout enough about it. But our community knows what we're doing, and our fans know what we're doing. So that's the most important thing.
I'll tell you what, Sean. I remember when we come down to visit you, all them months ago, and there was a guy that was with us, right? And he come along, and we'd been down there about an hour at that point, and I remember what he said to me, right? And it was a real eye opener. I said to him, "What do you make of all this?" He said to me, "So I'll tell you what, Stan." He said, "I knew Millwall," he said, "was involved in the community." He said, "I knew that." He said, "But he said until I got here," he said, and see it for myself. He said, "I didn't realise just how much that was the case." And I think, in fairness, I think there's a lot of people, until recently would have held the same view. But no, I mean, you just carry on doing what you're doing, mate. I mean, you just go from strength to strength, in my view. And thanks for all what you do in your team. It's brilliant.
No, thank you for all your support. It's and I appreciate all the good comments about it. And we're here to support that community, and to get the great name of Millwall, because they did some great work before I come here, and they're still doing great work, and they do great work when I leave. But I just want to make sure that people get to know about what we can do. And the thing about the food hub, you've got great people like Kelly there, who's about supporting the community as well. So we've got some great people around us.
Hey, brilliant as always, Sean. You and your team are literally magic for doing all that. Look, I understand that Johnny Burrow and Eamon are going to get down to St Paul's for the summer camp and head to the Lion Centres too. So no doubt we'll hear from them post-event. But until next time, mate, all the best.
No, thank you very much for having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, cheers, Sean.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Take it
Bye,
easy,
Sean.
mate.
Bye.
We'll take a break there and listen to Barry Stradling, who can both sing and do You'll Never Walk Alone at the same time. Simply amazing.
Hello, my name's Barry Stradling. I'm a Millwall fan my entire life. I'm doing the London Memory Walk to try and raise some money for the Alzheimer's Society. I'm doing this because I've got close friends with Alzheimer's and I've got a family relation with Alzheimer's. So if you could help me out by going to justgiving.com, fundraising Barry Stradling, and try and raise as much money as possible. If you can donate some money and also share the link to people, try and get everyone involved in this to try and help people suffer from Alzheimer's.
I'm Henry Morgan. I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Patricia Maslin, Stan Godwin and Ted Robinson. People continue to lose their lives to this dreadful virus or as a consequence of suffering with it, as deaths and infections continue, whilst many more remain hospitalised as well. Our thoughts go out to their families, friends and those take care of them. Additionally, please respect the requirements of transport other locations in reducing the risk of infection and also the preference of individuals to protect themselves.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? It is now located in the Millwall Community Trust car park. That's beside Millwall's Den in Ballina Road. That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, Kelly Webster is involved, as are Helen Butler and Kelly Essex. They are the hub crew. You can help if you can make a one-off or a regular monetary donation online at Banquet, or on match days you can make donations pre-match at the hub too. You can also contact the team via their Twitter and Facebook sites. Good night.
Next week, Gary returns on Friday at 8 p.m. to host a Rose Between the Two Forms show with Bethany Warren, Jeff Burnage and Georgia Lampoon Lampy. Great news is that it is true to say that Scott Johnson, the founder of the Proper Blokes Club, has amassed an incredible following. guys can still come along and join him to break the stigma of men's mental health with walk and talk groups. Check out the Proper Blokes Club on Twitter and Facebook for further details. And it's good night from me.
Don't forget, the player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available this season. Why not share the burden between a few of you or even a couple of companies? If you can give them some added support, you can find details on their website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you will find them easily enough. Lastly, the Lionesses are still recruiting at the moment. If anybody is interested in coming down to St Paul's Rythe, please email recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com. I will repeat that, recruitment@millwall-lionesses.com. Or direct message either their Twitter account or Instagram account, Millwall_LFC. Don't forget our Lionesses need you. Good night.
Let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. That's it from me. Thanks, Patricia, Ted, and Stan. Until next time, come on, you Lions. Good night.